Welcome to another episode of Rivals, and in today's episode, we will be taking one more look at Gran Turismo 3 for an episode before we go over to the big one, where a lot of my requests have certainly come from. This one again comes from MillerMilch245. He requested quite a few around the time I was getting to these more specific episodes, so I think there's another one after him, and then after that, it tends to turn more into, various other people. But regardless, he requested two race cars, just like I was requested in the last episode by Viper Racing. But not exactly the kind of race cars you would be expecting. On one end, you've got the GIllet Vertigo race car, and on the other end, you've got the Lister Storm V12 race car. Now, of course, because it's smaller, I'm very unsurprised that he would choose a Storm, because he really likes the Lister Storm as a car. And the Vertigo is just a very out-there vehicle, so it'd be very interesting to show. So you may be thinking, well, why would you want to compare these two? The Vertigo has a lot less power, 427 versus 605. Well, just because the Storm has that much horsepower doesn't exactly mean it's particularly any faster. Because it weighs 1,438 kilograms, so it's a bit of a heavier car. And then when you compare it to the GIllet Vertigo, this thing weighs 803 kilograms. There is a weight difference of just over 600 in these cars. So there's a massive weight cut on the Vertigo versus the Storm. So it should be fairly interesting to see how these two get along. Now I gotta go over to arcade mode so I can get to the free run for this, because I can't do it. This track that's been requested is not available in the run-in setting thing. The track in question, once I can get over to it, is this one right here, Rome Circuit. Definitely not the same like it used to be, though. Rome Circuit still is around, but it's not what it was like in this game. And I kind of prefer what it was like in this game, so, So anyways, we're gonna head over to the garage real quickly, and before you start asking what are with all these cars, again, these just came with the save. I didn't add those. I just got to save off game facts, and that's what came with it. So it's probably as soon as I start, it's probably still gonna have the person's original name too. Wouldn't be surprised. Anyways, I'm gonna choose manual because again, this is one of those games where I can actually drive manual, because I actually am used to driving this game with that. But anyways. Now, the Vertigo is very interesting because it's a very out-there race car. So not quite a lot looks like it. It was especially a bit of an interesting inclusion when it was brought into the game. Unfortunately, this red livery with all the silly dolphins and whatnot was only ever in this Gran Turismo. It was scrapped for a newer Vertigo in GT4, which was like a yellow, kind of looks more like a more traditional racing livery. It didn't really have like dolphins or anything on it. But I must say I always kind of liked this one more. I preferred the red livery. It looks better personally than the one with that's in GT4, 5, and 6. But yeah, the Vertigo is kind of cool because it's such a different car. Not quite a lot of race cars look like this, so it's a really different kind of vehicle. And of course, the best thing about the Vertigo is it's a light race car. Again, it only weighs literally just by like 3 kilograms, just over 800 kilograms. So it's a very light car, and it still makes about about 420 horsepower. So that's still a lot of power for a car that weighs almost like a piece of paper. So. But yeah, Rome Circuit's definitely a track I generally just miss. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's in GT5 and GT6 and all that sort of stuff, but it's not the same. They use a different Rome Circuit, and I just feel like it doesn't have that same kind of interesting layout as this Rome Circuit did from GT3. This is technically a GT2 track. But there's also a Rome Short, but that was only in GT2. They only had the full Rome Circuit in GT3. Not that I'm complaining, of course. Yeah, GT3 was pretty weird when it came to like choice of tracks, because it didn't include like short versions of tracks that were in like GT2. There was no Seattle short, there was no Rome short, there was no wasn't even any Grand Valley East. Was there even Autumn Ring Mini? I don't remember. I know there was Autumn Ring, but I don't remember if there was Autumn Ring Mini in that game. Just for whatever reason, all of the short variations of tracks were just not in this game. But of course, probably the biggest exclusion out of this game, the most notable exclusion, no high speed ring. Now, I've heard of kind of a long-withstanding rumor that it wasn't included because the developers forgot it existed, but that sounds extremely far-fetched. I don't think that's actually the case. I think what the case more is that they were working on tracks in GT3 and just kind of focused and just kind of didn't really have time to get to high speed ring. At least they made up for it by bringing it back for GT4 and altering it in a way that, you know, they would say, like, canon wise there was like some kind of disaster or storm or something, hence why the one section of the track has now been turned into a bridge area. So they had like a very interesting. So they added like a very interesting spin to it, which I like, because it's like, you know, it kind of gives it its own little silly, here's why it wasn't in this game reason, and I kind of like that kind of stuff when developers do that. Well, at least if it's a kind of a silly reason like that. If it's a kind of a very stupid reason where you scratch your head thinking, yeah, but this should have been in the game, you people just got lazy, that's definitely, you know, it's definitely a much different case. So, you know. Well then, so, you know, this is a pretty nice car to drive too. It's fairly controllable. Doesn't really slip out or anything. It's very, very balanced. It's very good. Good handling, decent top end, all that kind of stuff. So our time we managed is a 1 minute 22.863. So that is the time that the storm is going to have to beat. And we'll see if all that extra power gives it the boost, or if it's just not going to be enough. But of course we shall find out. Once this thing loads, it can quickly switch over to the storm. Alright, so now we've got the storm on hands. Again, go to manual. I also, because I had to buy these cars, because here's the thing, the Vertigo is actually available in the S-Class regularly, but the Storm isn't, so I had to go buy the Storm. So at that point, I just decided to, you know, give them an oil change, take off, of course, the traction control and the active stability management, and then, you know, just for kicks, put full downforce on them, just to get the most out of the handling of the car. So anyways, the Lister Storm has always been a bit of a particularly interesting kind of vehicle. It had been racing for quite a few years by the time of this game had been released, but in kind of like various different incarnations. So it was definitely a lot different. And you know, by the time of Gran Turismo 2, you know, there was the road car that was made, and also by the time of Gran Turismo 2, you know, if you actually do race mod the Lister Storm, you actually do get this racing livery for it. But yeah, the Storm had kind of shown that it was always capable of being a successful car, and then finally in the year 2000, I can't remember what league it was. I'll have to look it up after I finish recording this. It did actually win a championship somewhere in 2000. So this car actually, you know, it took a little bit, but it did actually become a proper successful car. I don't know if the Vertigo had any kind of success. I haven't really even looked up for the case of that one, so I'll definitely have to do that. But, you know, okay, so we're definitely not quite on that pace yet. That's a 1 minute 24.3. Excuse me whilst I get rid of the ghost, because it's not. It does the ghost doesn't really work properly in GT through in PCS62. It should be more of a kind of a see-through thing, but not the case here. It's solid. I didn't mean to smack the wall there, but oops. It's okay. If I'm looking at the map, I think I'm still slightly ahead, so it's not really gonna matter too much. Oh boy, we got some tailspin on that one. So unlike the Vertigo, we're definitely gonna have to play a lot more careful than with the car than Storm in certain low-speed corners. Because at least with the Vertigo, it didn't really seem to be affected by it. But the Storm doesn't seem to like low-speed corners. It just wants to try to slide out. And now I'm like a second back because of that. Goddamn. So this might be a bit of an interesting task. I'm not quite sure if the Storm is going to be able to best the Vertigo, because I mean, I certainly will give it a damn good try, but ooh, I don't like that. I shouldn't have done that. But we'll definitely have to, you know, see what we can manage. Okay, we're gonna keep it in third here. Probably could have been a little bit closer. Yeah, again, I'm still behind the Ghost. Come on. I know I could do better. There we go. I thought that would be better. Keep it in third going out, and then once I kind of make some open, bring it down to second. That way I can, you know, get on the power and everything. Oh, I don't like this. Damn, come on. This is, I'm definitely very back and forth with this car right now. I can't even seem to best my first... I'm gonna be lucky if I can even really properly knock some time off this car. Again, I bonked the wall there, not something I particularly wanted to do. I think, personally, I'm going to give this, I know, but I'm going to give this one more go, because that lap did have quite a few blunders. So we're definitely going to try that again. Hopefully we can... Oh, and I still managed one. I'm pretty sure that was better than the last time I went around it. Yeah, I am ahead of the Ghost, so yeah. That answers that one. Probably don't have to really do it like that, but hey, whatever. Yeah, something like that's would be a little better. Okay, let's there we go, much better through there. Definitely a lot better through that corner. That's probably going to keep us ahead of my Ghost, hopefully. Really? I'm only barely ahead of it? Okay, I guess I'm pushing this more than I thought I was. Oh, that was terrible. That was god-awful. That was really bad. Well, alright, I guess, really, technically, I'm really kind of pushing this as much as I can, but I don't think I'm gonna get much better than a 123.691, so yeah, despite all the extra power, it's all that extra weight and whatnot, it definitely seems to not play as huge of a... It definitely seems to hurt the car's ability. So in this case, the Lister Storm, again, is the car that, despite being more powerful, doesn't come out with the win. We had it against the Vector M12 in GT2, had the Vector 1 because it simply handled better and didn't have much wheel spin issue. I try it here, and sure there is some wheel spin, but it's nowhere near as bad, and yet it's just not as quick as the GIllet Vertigo. So yeah, this is a double whammy for the Lister Storm, sadly. But regardless, that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Of course, I have like a lot of episodes currently on that list. So I could probably take one more episode. That'll put me to 50, and then after that, I'm closing it because I need to really get through them before I can start asking for more. But regardless, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out that episode list, it is down in the description. You can also check out from the description links to my Twitter, my Twitch, my Patreon, and my forum board. So thank you guys always again so much for watching, and take care.